Hey, have you ever noticed that everybody loves giving advice, whether you've asked for it or not?
And, sometimes the advice is great, but there are times when you're thinking, why did I even tell them anything?
No kidding. And so today we are diving into a question that affects all of us.
Yes, the question is, do you actually like when people give you advice?
Welcome back to Deep Diving Divas. I'm Nancy Fox. So glad you're all here. And if you're new, well, welcome.
And I'm Elaine Duran. Today's topic is something we all experience: advice. Sometimes it's incredibly helpful, and sometimes not so much.
Hey, you know that moment? You're just telling a friend a story about something that's happened in your life, and then all of a sudden they jump in. Well, you know what you should do? Oh,
And you're thinking, I wasn't actually asking for advice. So we asked some of you out there, how do you really feel about getting advice?
Hey there, friends, it's Nancy and Elaine. They're the Deep Diving Divas, it's quite a name. They're diving deep into the things that matter most, from friendships to family and so much more. Join them each week for a splash of fun.
how do you feel about people giving you advice?
I don't like it. I prefer they don't give me advice.
What do you do when they do? If people do try to give you advice, how do you handle it?
I smile and quickly change the subject.
Oh, I like that one.
Roxanne, how do you feel about people giving you advice?
Most of the time, I think I don't really appreciate unasked for advice. But on the other hand, if I have a really good friend or somebody who's very loving and they think of a resource that I might really enjoy, then I really appreciate having that information. And then I really enjoy that.
Teresa, do you like when people give you advice?
It doesn't bother me. I just listen and just decide what I'm going to do with that advice.
And so if they force it on you, then what do you do?
Then I probably would push back a little, but at the same point, if that's their opinion, that's their opinion, and I have my own opinions.
Okay, Jill, be honest. How do you feel about people giving you advice?
Sometimes I think there's a difference between people advising you because they really care about you versus them wanting to tell you what to do. And I really don't like it when people tell me what to do. I start feeling very uncomfortable and I feel like I have to put a shield up. But if somebody really cares about me and they want to offer me some resources to help me, then I love that because I'm always open to suggestions. But I think I like the mild and gentle approach and loving rather than somebody telling me what to do because that starts to sound almost disciplinary in some way or reprimanding. And I feel very insecure when people do that to you. So I don't care for that at all.
Deborah, do you like when people give you advice?
I do, but I do have a pet peeve when they give you advice after you've made the decision.
Oh,
That's hurtful.
Mom, do you like when people give you advice?
Not particularly. If I ask someone a question and they give me an answer with advice, then I will listen to it and think about it. But just if I don't ask, you're going to tell me you need to do this, you need to do that. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that at all.
So when they give you the advice, how do you
Well, I'll
handle
weigh
it?
it. I'll weigh it. If I ask, I say, what do you think about this? And then they go into, they give advice. And I say, okay, thanks for that advice. I'll think about it. And I will think about it. And if I think that's pretty good advice, great. And if I don't, so I don't do it. If someone gives you advice and you say, well, thank you very much. That may be an answer to my problem. And I'll think about it and I don't do it. If they say to me something like afterwards, when I told you what to do, I have to say to them, I waited and it wasn't, well, you didn't do what I thought it would do. And so don't talk to me about it anymore.
Okay, Mom, but what if someone won't let up? What do you really feel like saying?
Fuck off. I don't want to take your advice. Just fuck off.
Okay, Elaine, it's already getting kind of interesting.
Nancy, let me ask you this. How do you feel about getting advice?
Honestly, it kind of depends. Certain people, I don't want their advice because, I don't necessarily value the way that they live theirs. And so I might feel very differently. But I think if it's in my inner circle, people that like, hey, if you give me advice, I would welcome it. Here's my criteria. I don't mind when people give me advice if they don't force me to take it.
That's a good one. And that's true.
I mean, for example, my dad was notorious in our family. He was the advice giver of the world. And you know what? And my mom would always say, I know your dad, he was the kind who would kill us for our own good. Because it's one thing to suggest something or give advice, but then he'd follow up. It's like, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And
Did
then
you
it
do your
makes you
homework?
feel like, I don't want to hear your advice. Even if it was good most of the time.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to take advice from a parent. It's a little bit easier to take it from a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Okay,
Well,
so Elaine, how do you feel?
well, I'm probably not as accommodating as you are because it's something about getting advice from people really, it's just like hits off my button, because
Why?
I
Why? Why? What is it to
Why? Well, it's one thing, I guess, if I've asked somebody for advice, like, I'm really I have this situation, tell me what you think, or I don't know what to do, or something like that. But I will be telling people a situation that I have, and which is my mistake, because I probably shouldn't share it if I don't want the advice, but they start telling me what to do. And they kind of start to get upset if they want me to agree with them. They want me to say, yes, you're right. I think I should do this. I think I should do this. And when I do, kind of be a little bit defensive, I guess, or I say that's not, then they get upset. And it's like, you know what? I would really not, I don't want anyone's advice unless I ask for it. That's it.
That's
Bottom
really
line.
good. You know what? When someone gets upset, then that's an imposition in my book,
Yeah.
because then what they shouldn't have feeling. They can give their advice, but if they're getting upset about it or mad or whatever or frustrated, then
Right.
they're investing too much. They're kind of forcing you.
Right. I know. It's like, Elaine, don't you kind of understand this is really the best thing for you or something? And it's like, how can you tell me that? You're not me. Only I know. That's maybe something I have to be a little bit more open, but
Interesting what you said about parents. That is really true. Alan, my husband figured that out when the boys were young. When you give advice to your children, it's one thing, teens or adults, buyer beware, because the words of a parent are much more weighted. So the advice you're giving is sometimes can be too strong. So I think that maybe you can accept more. When I think about what I share with my dad, maybe I could accept it more from a friend that if they give it and not,
right.
you know,
Because you know what? Advice, your parents are telling you things all the time. Either sit up straight, drink your milk. I mean, whatever they're telling you,
right.
they kind of, they're very good at directing you what to do. So the word advice, I think, probably gets lost in all the things they're telling you all the time. You don't really take it as advice. It's kind of like, maybe you're giving me orders. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to be like that. I think, but I know that's what parents are supposed to do. But I think it is hard coming from a parent. It's probably better, getting that ask. Your parents should tell somebody else to ask you or tell you.
I like that. That's good. That's good. That's great advice, Elaine.
Yeah.
Jade, what's the best advice you ever received?
So, best advice I ever received was actually from my husband, Charlie, and it's let them be. It's don't judge other people, just let them be. And that has, served me well.
Christy, what's the best advice you ever got?
Nancy, I think that was on one of your episodes I watched, your podcasts, about not to worry about things in life, because worrying doesn't change the outcome at all and just causes more stress in your own life.
That's one of my favorites. I'm glad you picked up on that.
It's a great one. Thank you.
So, what's the best advice you've gotten?
The best piece of advice, and I try to live by it exclusively, is never take advice from somebody you would not switch places with.
Honey, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Well, my aunt gave me good advice about you. We had been dating about 4 months. I took Nancy, my sweet wife, to a dinner party with my aunt, and she met Nancy and spent a few minutes with her. And she, at the end of the evening, turned to me and said, "Marry that woman."
Aww.
And I did, and I've had 50 good years. It was the best advice ever.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Shelley, what's the best advice you ever received?
For me, it was from my mom. She said to never compare to anyone. She said if you had all of your problems in a bag and you threw it up in the air and you caught someone else's bag, you'd realize that you would want your bag back.
I love that.
Yeah.
Brian, what's the best advice you ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received, I think I've heard it since I was a little boy, and it's the theme of karma. And you always want to treat others how you want to be treated, and your energy and your actions and words, I feel like they all come around, and you want to stay positive and treat people with respect, and then that circle kind of comes back your way. So that's it.
Elaine, ready? I want to know, what's your best advice?
Nancy, I am so happy to share it, because the best piece of advice that I have received, honestly, is really come to me in the last, year, maybe even before that, since I met you. But you told me to go with good. And just those 3 words, go with good, that's 3 words, just those 3 words have made such an impact on my life. It has really turned around my process of thinking. It's let me let go of worrying all the time. It has given me the confidence to believe that things will be good, because you've been so reassuring. I've watched how it's helped you. And I think the only time that I would take advice from people is when I want to be just like them and that I respect them. And it is such a gift that you have given to me, and I know you have given it to others. So going with good, Nancy, is a beautiful thing to tell people. And I'm so fortunate for that gift, the very best gift you gave me.
Oh, Lainey. And I just want to expand on going with good. So really, you know what? We all are guilty of saying, oh, you think the worst, the world's chicken little, the sky is falling. But the reality is, when you've got something pretty serious going on, and it could be medical, it could be a relationship problem, whatever it is, I'm the eternal optimist. But what's wrong with that? Like, going with good. I go with good until I hear otherwise. And 9 out of 10 times, it is good. And so we've wasted all that energy worrying, doubting of what could be. So I say, go with good.
Nancy, so what's one piece of advice that's really stayed with you?
Well, I think I've shared it before in shows way back when, but I did tell you earlier that my dad could be the most annoying in our family, always giving advice. But you know what? I also said he had great advice. So the best piece of advice that I've ever received, and it's carried through my life, is don't speak for other people.
Nancy, that is so good. And you have reminded me of that too. Because
I'm sorry, lady. And let me just explain it for everybody that I definitely want to hear how it's impacted you. But what my dad meant by it is we're all guilty of answering before we even find out if it's the answer. So when it came to my business, I would have to pitch our cookies, our salad dressings to grocery stores or gifts.
Yes.
And the reality is we're all guilty of saying, oh, they're not going to want it. Oh, that's too big of an institution. They're just going to say no. But if you say don't speak for other people, make the call and ask. The worst they could say is no. And so even for people, like this applies to people going out on a date, meeting people. Oh, they're not going to want to go out with me. Well, how do you know? Ask if someone wants to go out with you.
Ask them. Well, that's a good.
Ask them. The worst they can
Really,
say is
what I
no,
was going to
thank
say.
you.
No, what I wanted to say is that it stops progress, and it's, when you decide that you're not going to ask them, you'll never move ahead. There'll never be any success. You'll never see any changes. So you just have to, don't assume, is really what I think your dad was saying in many ways, that they're going to say no. So I think that's a good one, Nancy.
The
It's
world
really,
opens up. Just think about it. Think about it in all aspects of your life.
yes.
Yeah,
That's great.
don't speak for others.
So here's another question that we took to the streets. What's the worst advice that you ever got?
Oh no.
Let's see what
Ooh,
we got.
I can't wait for this.
Richard, what's the worst advice you ever got?
Well, I don't know if it's the worst advice, but it sticks out in my mind because it was bad advice. I was the first person in my family to go to college. My father had a sixth grade education, and he was really the only person I could talk to about the college experience, of which he had none. So he suggested to me that I become an accounting major because accountants make a lot of money. So I thought, yes, I want to make a lot of money. That's a good idea. I became an accounting major and took it for 2 years, and I hated it. So I changed majors. I eventually became a high school art teacher and was very, very satisfied with that, enjoyed it, loved it. But at the same time, he'd give me the original advice. He also had told me that if I had gotten a college degree, I would make so much money that I would be able to pay the plumbers, the electricians, all these people that would be coming to my house to do repairs. Well, I've had people come to my house and do repairs, and I will tell you that on a teacher's salary, they're making more money than I was.
Presley, what's the worst advice you ever received?
One of my friends told me that we should be mean to another girl, and I disagreed because that's not what's right. And you should, and I stopped being friends with her because she was being mean to other people, and I didn't like that.
Oh, Presley, that's great. Good for you. All right, Elaine, then I have to ask you, is there any piece of advice that was the worst ever?
Well, it's interesting because, I taught for 13 years in junior high school, and I loved it immensely. I got to be like a 13-year-old for 13 years. That was the only way I could teach, is if I kind of came down to the level of the kids.
Love
We're always
that.
playing. It's the only way I could learn, was to kind of role play and whatever. And I loved it. And when I made the decision to move on and to go back to UCLA and take public relations and marketing and fundraising classes, it was because I knew it was the right time, and I felt very confident about it. It was hard to leave, but I had people telling me, particularly some of the administrators and other teachers, they would say to me, Elaine, you are leaving a sinking ship. You cannot leave teaching. You have to stay. You have to do this. And it was what? If I had taken their advice, I would never been able to have moved on and to have the business and the success that I had. So I thought that advice was really pretty selfish. I think it was really because they wished that they could be doing something to follow their dream and to move on to one more opportunity of life and adventure. So I really think that was hard.
It's interesting that you said selfish, or maybe not selfish, maybe it was threatening to them because they wish that they had the courage, like you did, to just completely change direction. So threatening, probably.
Well, so that's kind of like Nancy with you. I mean, did anyone ever steer you in the wrong direction? You've had so many businesses and done so much.
We did, I would say, yeah, when my sister and I were starting Mrs. Beasley's, it was so novel because no one was doing baked goods, little mini muffins in baskets, gift baskets, and delivering them all around the LA area. And so I would say lots of people would say, what the heck are you doing? And even my accounting teacher, when I was in business school, we became dear friends, and he ultimately became my dad's accountant. And my dad was so generous to put my sister and I in business and give us the money. But the reality is, he said, what are you doing? This is not a good investment. Like, I don't think this is a good idea. And thank goodness my dad didn't listen, and we didn't either. So I would say that was bad. That was bad advice.
Sometimes you just know when it's the right choice. Yeah, because I know this one administrator said to me, Elaine, are you leaving teaching to plan parties? And it was like, because they didn't even know what I was going to be doing. So sometimes they give you advice when they don't even know what it is that you're asking for. When we put this together, Nancy, we talked about this and we decided that actually, there are 3 reasons why you should probably stop giving advice. First of all, you probably were not asked to give your advice.
Yeah, I mean, unsolicited advice could drive a wedge possibly between you and the person you're trying to give the advice to. So, when in doubt, don't give it.
Okay, and what about number 2, Nancy?
Okay. When you give advice that was unsolicited, you know what? Sometimes subconsciously you might not mean this, but you're kind of telling the person that you know more than they do. That's talk about being maybe that's why you get annoyed, Elaine. You said it's a little
Oh,
off, right?
I am realizing that now. I guess the word is bossy. Do you know we used to talk about that? I mean, you're bossy. That's what it is. Like, who are you about? Okay, don't get me going. Yeah. Okay. So number 3, you actually, in many ways, you are robbing people of a really a very important process that as human beings we have, and that's the grace to discover the solution on our own. And I think
Love
that's something to think about.
Yeah, I love that. All right, thank you all for joining us. This was really a great, enlightening for a lot of us and, valuable show. So if you want to join the conversation, go to our YouTube right in the episode that you're watching it. And there's a section that says comments. Write a comment there. What do you think about advice? Do you like it? Do you give it? Let's just continue the conversation. Okay, everybody, till next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.